XTW.
Anyway, for a while, and I picked up you a bit later. How does you feel if you're on the radio?
I appear to be on several, Steve. I finally got through onto the net, and with 5 minutes to go, seems to be working all right. The numbers seem all right, but the logistics of my monitor's behind me, so I'm not doing the best BBC practice of keeping my face in the camera. But yeah, if you have sent that email, thank you. If not, thanks in advance. G8XTW, crossband with G4CPE, M0SKM on 144550, Go 100 uplink, G8XTW.
Yeah, I've seen you on the uplink now. Yeah, the email's gone.
Okay. Thanks for that. I got expecting a call from Ted, who's imminent. Hello, Ted. Hello? Hello, Ted. Yes.
I'll be on the appeal when Dave Trump's on the army.
Yeah, don't look at TZ. That's not the thing to look at. Look, Edward, look. You've got the tab at the top. You've got the tab that's marked streamer, yeah? Ted, you got to listen to...
Yes, okay, Mike. So I am. Yes, okay, Mike. So I am. Good evening, all. GKQ. Excellent. Seem to be having some issues tonight, although the sound seems to be working. Very interesting. Right, as we have sound, I will state the running order, and I will sort myself out for the next over. I'm not doing very well with this at the moment. That was a Windows update tonight. Let's go around to Richard, GI4DOH first. Richard, if you can be ready to transmit next. Then be Martin, G4FKK, Jim, G7NTG, David, M0YDH, James, G0DQH, Mike, G0MJW, then Roger, G3IUZ, Gareth, G4XAT, and Colin, G4KLB. I will put the order up there, and we'll go. I'll say things on my next over. G8GKQ, passing it to GI4DOH.
GKQ with the group GI4DOH. Evening, Dev and everybody. Get the sign off. Go off. Yes, indeed. Windows update. Same thing here, and the old Bluetooth thing. It's the audio output has gone back to stereo, which is no use because that doesn't work, and I've forgotten which thing I have to disable on the in the sound settings to do that. So ran out of time there, and just been down to get a mug of coffee. So you caught me a bit unawares. I wasn't quite ready for that. So yes, terrible tale to tell. We're working on the 23 centimeter amplifier and getting on swimmingly with that, and indeed it's doing everything it's supposed to do. The only issue being my super duper power meter. It's actually a rebadged WaveTech, I believe, and they were common enough in their day. And I know all about the using a Lime SDR for generating DATV and the need to hold off before enabling things because of calibration and the rest. And I thought I'd done that. I've always been quite careful, although the last shot there was a manual wait about 10 seconds before actually powering on the amplifier. And this is the little probe that goes with said power meter. Anyway, it's now measuring about 40 dB down on what it should, and I'm not aware of any point where I gave the PTT too early, but it's certainly not working at the moment. I've yet to establish, because of the nature of the 4 pins going in, getting the right sort of levels on them to actually test to work out whether it's the meter itself or not. That is the little detector from inside the probe, and it does seem to be a proprietary thing, and I've yet to find anything like it on the on eBay. So a bit stuck with what had been my high accuracy thing and my guide to doing everything, and indeed with the 10 gigahertz stuff that I've got. There's nothing else capable of measuring at 10 gigahertz, but there you go. So a bit missed about that, and I haven't worked out whether it's the actual detector or whether it's the unit itself. I do have the manual for it and all the schematics, but it is fairly old. I don't know what is really available. I've seen a few things on eBay, but I would have to do a bit more research. So if anybody knows of a suitable RF power meter, hopefully going up to greater than 10 gigahertz and all the rest, I'm sort of in the market for one at the moment, and it depends on whether I get this sorted out. So the day's been busy with that, been running around between one thing or another. But the 23 centimeter amplifier is doing all right. I'm pleased with that. I'm about to screw the lid onto it and put it away and work on something else. So enough of my my sad story for the night. I'll pass it on round to you, Martin. G4FKK with the group. This is GI4DOH.
Right, well, I'll jump in then. And see if mine's going to work. Better mute that. Right, okay. I did find the problem, I think, because Dave said there's RF getting about, and there was. One of my driver amps, the input socket was loose. And I think that was causing the problem. I tightened that up and everything seemed to fall into place and work then. So I think I've sorted it. We've had a few gremlins last week and already this week, so hopefully I'll keep going all right. I think there was somebody asked me a question last week I was going to answer, but unfortunately it didn't work very well, so I wasn't able to, and I've forgotten what it was. So if anybody had the question, they better get in touch. That's great. And yes, James, I would look up your FT290 parts placement layout diagram, but it's on the PC that I'm using as a receiver, so well, I'm using as a monitor. It's a TV actually that covers many things. It's a PC monitor, it's the receiver monitor, it also monitors my remote camera for looking at the power on this power amplifier, so it covers a lot of things. So there we go. Been doing a few big giant power amplifiers, and the one behind me is a one-off. That's specially selected. No, I didn't let that go because that does 500 watts at 2.4 gigs. It's exceptional, and it's too risky to give that to anybody. It's running on a string and a prayer. because I've only got RG402s connected to the output socket, so it's a bit over the top, I think. But I'm going to use it for testing power meters, so should be alright. And David asked me earlier, M0YDH, about the loco I'd showed earlier. So if I can get that view and see if the picture will sharpen up now, probably won't. It's going to be as sharp as you're going to get it, but that's scratch built from brass and copper and other things, apart from the castings, gauge, so it's coming along. There's a lot of work to do on it. So there you go. Anyway, I think it's still behaving, so I think now it is round to David. So M0YDH from G7NTD.
An update chaos at the moment. No
Hopefully this is working. Okay, hopefully this is working. Excellent.
Okay, just check up on audio, which I have. Good. Yes, good evening, everyone. Just come off the. There we go. Yes, good evening, everyone. I've put my email address on the web page, and Jim has responded with hopefully help. And I've got this. If I just change cameras a second, there we go. I managed to get hold of this 290 some weeks ago, and it was in brilliant nick, but there is a few faults with it, and one of them, this morning when I turned it on, the meter went full scale, but that's settled down now. I've got this simplex node station about a quarter of a mile from me, and it's very strong, and I can get it without pulling the aerial up. But at the moment, that is causing me a bit of a problem, because although it's reset now, the actual meter has gone back to where it should be. I'm sure it'll play up again. So anyway, hopefully Jim will come up with the answers I'm after. The the apparently the mod is to put a 1 meg resistor across the base and emitter of Q1014, and it doesn't tell you on the board which is Q1014. There's nothing marked on the boards at all, and we hopefully will get to the bottom of the fault. Also, if I bring the camera down a little bit down there, Dave, you had some of these a little while ago, and I've got some more of these small fans. They're 1.5 inches, I think, across, and they're 5 volts. And if anybody wants any, I've got quite a few. They're ex-equipment, but they work fine. They're nice and quiet as well. So if anybody wants some, email, I'll send 1 or 2 out in the post. And the other problem that hopefully has been sorted, I'll go back to my picture, come off there, that's it, is we had a problem with our solar water heater. We've got 2 panels on the house. If I bring up that, this isn't a very good photograph, by the way, and it's made it look a bit tall and thin, but the house isn't really like that. But it shows clearly the 2 hot water panels on the roof, and the rubber pipe coming out of the left-hand top on the roof has a split in it, so it leaked fluid. So we'd lost pressure for until the guys came around today and fixed it. So I should probably have a hefty bill for that. So those 2 panels have been there for 13 years, and we've had oodles of hot water over the years, and provided it's sunny, of course. And they work really well. Made by Worcester Bosch. And we've retained our hot water cylinder, so that charges up the hot water cylinder. And the PV panels you see on the garage roof, they've been there for 12 years, and the inverter is the original, and it still works. And I think I looked at the meter today, and we generated something like 4 kilowatts today, and it hasn't actually been that sunny. So there you go. We're very much into trying to cut down on our carbon footprint. So and the garden's big enough at the back, if ever we need to, is to put in ground source heating. So which we may have to do eventually, because I think the price of gas is going to go through the roof eventually. So anyway, that's basically it from me. And who's next? G0MJW, I think. So if you would like to take it, and I'll see you all next week, hopefully. I won't be on with it for a second round. G0DQH in Chandler's Ford.
sound now? Yeah, sorry about that. Same problem as Martin had. Right, I'll start again. Hi everyone. Yeah, Windows Update, they are absolutely appalling, aren't they? They always break stuff. One of these days someone's going to take it out on Microsoft, I'm sure. Anyway, let's go back to the picture. And yes, it's focus. These arrived from China. They are very, very simple. They're LM317s, but they come on a little board with a pot and some connectors, and they're only about £1 each. So I ordered several of those, and they hopefully they'll work quite well. What else was I going to show very quickly? Something else that came from China, and this is the camera that Martin was talking about, the same one. This isn't a camera, this is a receiver. The ATS-20. Well, it was 30 quid. Can't possibly be any good. So I ordered one anyway. And surprisingly, it's receiving Radio 4. Yeah, it works. Works all the way from long wave up to the FM band. It's just a normal radio chip. It's quite an interesting chip actually, driven by an Arduino Nano, and there's various bits of software on the web for them. Unfortunately, this camera, although it's got a wonderful zoom, it can't zoom in that well because this thing's pretty small. It is quite a small device. It's sitting there next to the Hacker. And it's on the other side of the shack. I was measuring the shack the other day because someone was asking how big it is. That's about, I don't know, 3.5, 4 metres away, something like that. Right, okay, I haven't got anything much else on this round, but I'll say something more on the other one, and I'll pass it down to Roger. So with that, G3IUZ, oops, I'm not in the picture, am I? Let's try again. G3IUZ, over to you, G0MJW. Over to you, G0. MJW.
Right, so the big question to you is whether I have any audio. That's my so the big question to you. Have any? I appear to have. Oh, good. I've been bothered about it all day. Hang on a second. Where am I? Sorry about this. There we are. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much, Mike. And sorry for the delay. I'm starting there. As I say, I've been struggling with the audio side of things today. So I've been watching. I haven't missed any evenings. Been watching on the sidelines, always with much interest. Still on the steep learning curve, but enjoying it very much. I'm still trying to get going on 23.7's terrestrial. Built the 4BAO little driver amplifier, and also the PA, the 25 watt PA that's built just to do the heat sinks for it. But in the meantime, I built a filter, and I thought I'd better do a decent filter, get rid of any rubbish. This is what I've been up to the last week or so, and just to sort of give you a rather better view of it, I've got a couple of slides here just to show you. If we can just do that. Hang on a minute. Right, that's what it looks like. You can see the dimensions. And it's got three sections. If we just a second, go on to the next one. Looking down the end, 10 mil diameter quarter wave tuned by grub screws on the top, and a very pleasing end result in terms of its performance. You see the insertion losses just about 0.1 dB, and that's only at one end, and 3 dB bandwidth on the passband is about 40 megs, which was the design size of that, so I'm rather pleased with that. Right, back to the camera. So I've done all this with, I think I've mentioned before, the other side of the hobby is model engineering. I have a full workshop with lathes and milling machines and CNC and all the rest. Could bore you with that sometime, but it does make life a lot easier when you want to make things with some accuracy like that. But my real problem at the moment is trying to get enough drive into the BAO driver amplifier. I need 100 milliwatts, and I can't get it. I haven't succeeded yet in finding something suitable to come out of the port stand from the Pluto to get me up to 100 milliwatts, so that everything else will will work. I tried one of these on eBay. It's 1 gigahertz is supposed to be the top end and not very gamey, but it doesn't work at all. Complete dead as a no-dead. So that wasn't very successful. Haven't heard back from the seller yet. So I'm still stuck on that one. Anyway, there we are. So that's me up to date. And it goes now, I think, to G4 XAT to take it, although I can't remember the Christian name, so forgive me for that. So to G4 XAT to take it, this is G3 IUZ, passing it to you.
Right, I think I'm on. That looks good. I have lock. Yes, indeed. Right, let's have some picture. Evening all. Picture, thank you. Right, evening all. G4XAT from G3IUZ in the BATC Net. Martin mentioned mushrooms earlier, so here's one I grew earlier, as they say. That's a fairly baby one. It's called a wine cap. They're a bit like chestnut mushrooms, only with a woodier taste, I would say. Very, very pleasant. And I had a load this evening. Homemade mushroom bhaji. Very nice it was too. Right, great fun at the weekend in the contest, such as it was, or activity weekend. I very nearly managed stunning DX all the way up to Rob up north, but not quite, and managed it down to Lulworth, which from my lowly QTH I was very pleased with. The 10 metre pump up mast helped me immensely with that, as did some low loss feeder. I've swapped my dead Raspberry Pi 4 with the failed HDMI. That is now driving my ports down 4 development rig through the Ryde touchscreen, so that's still okay. And I've mounted a nice little 7-inch screen on top of my mini Ryde and dedicated power supply and so on. So fingers crossed on all that. Okay, what else? That's about it really. I'm waffling a lot. There's a chance in November that I might be in mid Wales on a very nice high plateau. I can take limited gear with me probably, and probably only operate for a morning or an afternoon, but there is a chance of some Welsh DX perhaps. Okay, that'll do from me. I won't come back a second time round. I think it's all a bit busy, but I'm listening. So round to you, Colin, G4KLB, to take it from G4XAT in the BATC Net. Over.
Okay, thanks a lot, Gareth. Excellent. Okay, I was just seeing what my audio level was like compared to everyone else. Okay then, there we are. There we are. Very good evening. I shall only do one over this evening because well, there's plenty on is one reason, and the other is I've got to go to work fairly soon. So I think waiting for that to come round again might be a bit too long. So one will be enough. One will be enough for me. Okay, so what have I been up to? Bit of soldering here and there. So actually I can't put that on because I can't operate OBS with my hand in the microphone in the camera. So we'll go to shaky cam. Firstly, before I forget, strangely last night I put together one of these kits, which is a Galley 84, which on 23 SEMS will give you 18.5 dB. Very suitable for amplifying the low signals that comes out of Limes and Plutos and filter modulators. That's what I tend to use on there. So I'm doing this one. You can choose the what frequencies you want, just depending on the value of the coil and the coupling Cs. So that's this one here. There are other kits available on eBay, or you can just make your own, really. Galley 84 is my favoured device. I've used it for a long time. You can see 18.5 dB at 1.2 gigahertz. I quite like these. I use them on more or less everything, and have a range of these. So this one, very very soon, will be going in a box. The latest iteration now has a regulator on the back. The early ones didn't used to have to put another regulator in the box, but they incorporate it in there now. So that's one option. There's a guy on eBay selling ready-built ones as well, or you can just make your own. Really, that's just rather topical because I soldered that together last night. Okay, there's an LM317 on a board. Also comes with a bridge rectifier and a big capacitor, which was not what I wanted. I chose it because it had the largest heatsink I could see on the ones on eBay. But obviously designed to run straight from a mains transformer AC. That's obviously the intended purpose of that particular one. But I always find the heatsinks that come on some of them are a little bit small for what you want. So I got one with a larger heatsink. But there we are. Anyway, never mind about that. What else we've been soldering together? We've put together the latest Portsdown 4 interface, and this is specific for Portsdown 4 and covers pretty much every feature you might wish to use the Portsdown 4 for, if I can say that. So and supplies power to the Raspberry Pi through a fuse. So that's one there I put together. You don't have to populate it with all the sockets. You don't have to use sockets at all if you don't want to. You can use these strain relief holes to put wires in, but I quite like them, and I tend to fill them up with sockets because if you need to add something in a hurry, then the socket's already there. But there we are. That's that. The other thing I've been working on is a little project for some. We found these relays cheap. They've all gone now, so it's a bit academic, really, isn't it? But found these cheap relays. Let's find one that hasn't got wires on it. They're only 6, so not necessarily suited. But if you're only going to run 6 bands at any one time, then that's another option. But I couldn't resist them. But they came originally with these boards on, and John in America did me a little PCB. There's one there actually. To replace it, which has got a decoder and a driver, so that will work with our what we're calling the MacGuffin project, which is a sequencer, aerial switcher, etc., for specifically for Portsdown 4. So they sort of go together, those things. There's not necessarily the recommended one to use, but I come across these cheap, so I couldn't resist it. So I've put them together because the specs of these things are pretty decent. they're 28 volts might put some people off, but again, it's not a difficult thing to accommodate these days. I just use one of those boost devices. Right, let's put shaky cam down. Anyway, that's what I've been doing this week. That isn't necessarily for other people to try and replicate. I think Malcolm got one, so I'm going to send him aboard. You can, we did work out the wiring for using it, using it as is, but it suited my purpose for this project to do that. Okay. Oh, what have we got on there? Some more options for bits and pieces. Okay, I'll have to read the chat afterwards, I think. Okay, that's all right then. Right, yeah, that'll probably do me for today. But oh, have I gone on that? Yeah, I've gone on. There we are. That's better. So I'm surrounded by little projects. I've been trying to finish off. I actually have finished a project. I've actually finished this Portsdown here. It's not Portsdown. This Ryde. This is a whole Ryde in a box. Mini tuner in one end and a Raspberry Pi in the other. You can't see that, but it's behind there. But this is now known as Ryde number 3, even though it's probably number 5 really. But it's the same ones as I use on GB3SQ, and I didn't have a spare one, so I built this one. You've probably seen it before, but I finally finished it. Yesterday I put in the RT5047 module to supply power. All that needs to be done now is I need to test that it works. I've tested most of the functions already, but I haven't quite finished the final testing. So I've added HDMI. We don't normally use HDMI on the repeater, but I want to be able to use this one in the shack for my own entertainment as well. So that took a bit of shoehorning actually, but anyway, there we go. Okay then, right, I'm going to pass it round to Dave, G8VZT, to take it. Yeah, I have finished the project. Yeah, finished the project. I've got 1 or 2 projects that need finishing. Anyway, over to G8VZT to take it. G4KLB.
Yeah, it looks like I'm in now from G8XTW in the darkest Leighton Buzzard. Good evening to everybody. It's a very good net tonight, crowded at 12 people. I reckon that gives each of us 5 minutes to come within the hour, which is fine. I think even Colin kept to that this evening, so I'm not going to say any more on that. That's brilliant. I've not done a lot this week. I've been trying to get an improvement to my ground station, the uplink. You'll notice those that are watching the graph, or the spectrum I should say, would note that I'm about 3 dB down below the magic line. So listening to the words of wisdom from young Jim, I've managed to acquire said preamp. It's not preamp, PA rather. And I need to, if it's okay with you, Jim, I'd like to give you a call in the next day or 2, landline call. Steve's passed on your details. If that's okay, just acknowledge on the net. I'd appreciate it. I'll give you a call tomorrow or Saturday, whatever. Yes, it's about getting off those RF connectors. Oh dear, it's a 4-pin device with a center pin, and given that the board is bonded down to the metal pallet, it's not obvious how you get it off without damaging the board. So there we are. Not much else to say, but hopefully this time next week I'll be back on with a larger profile on the spectrum. I'm sure it won't take much to get that going. I need about another 3 dB, and the existing amplifier isn't quite there, but at least it's getting today to repeat on the stream. So there we go. Right, brief over from me. I will not come round a second time. I haven't got a lot else to add, Dave. So it is indeed round 2, Dave. G8 GKQ, G8 XTW, and the Oscar 100 Net. Oh, and a very good evening to Ted, by the way, 2E0EAZ, who's a new watcher over in sunny Dunstable. Member of the Dunstable Downs Radio Club, and he's interested in TV and should be watching tonight. So there you are, Ted, you got a mention. Right, round to Dave then. Good night all.
We have a picture. Amazing. Apologies for earlier. I'm not sure what went wrong there. It was running perfectly well when I tested, and then didn't. I did have a Windows update earlier, but I thought I'd sorted everything from that. Okay. Let's start with things I wanted to say. We are continuing our planning for Cat 21 Part 2 on October the 16th. Be streamed on the BATC streamer, and there should be a Cure 100 channel used as part of the links, with lectures on EMC for Cure 100 dishes, ports down Ryde, and receiver RF design, among other things. So that's Saturday 16th of October. The other thing that's going on is that CQTV deadline is this weekend, so if you've got anything, please send it to on the committee within, or the editor even, in the next couple of days. Comments around Richard power meter. I tend to use a very big attenuator in front of a barometer power meter for checking power, but that's no use for checking power in line. And it certainly wouldn't work for Jim's 500 watt amplifier. That's a bit of a death machine as far as I'm concerned. But well done, Jim, and noted on the fact that you won't be around again. Perhaps you could just answer on the chat whether you're happy for Phil to call you. David, your audio gain seemed slightly low now, but just going to need a bit of tweaking. James, FT290 in the full-scale meter, there are two issues. One can be the electrolytics. The other can be the porous printed circuit board, and I think that's what the 1 mega ohm resistor does. If the printed circuit board gets wet, it is porous to water, and you get all sorts of nasty effects. And yes, those fans are good. I've got one on a Lime SDR here, so thank you for that. Roger, you seem to have a slight echo on your audio, like you had two microphones on about 10 milliseconds apart, or perhaps 50 milliseconds apart, but all looking good. And that filter, what a work of art. And as for the passband, dream of filters like that. Well done. Okay, what have I been up to? Well, the main building activity has been getting a 3.4 gigs amplifier working, that or transverter that Noel gave me. If you'll excuse shaky cam. Sorry, Colin's probably got the patent on that. There we go. It's an airspan board, but for Noel I have now got 100 milliwatts of output out of it. It is working very well. I'm trying to get the receive working now. but certainly does work. So thank you very much for that. Went out portable at the weekend. Let's just show you that. This was the set up at the weekend at Lulworth. Me in the foreground there, and there's some guy turned up with an OB van behind, and he put aerials up straight as opposed to mine that were on a slant. I did have a contact during the week with Ian at GB3RN. He did get into the satellite briefly, but then had more problems, so he was lurking last week. He's not available to make it this week. And last comment from me last thing I've been doing is written 3 articles for CQTV so far. Got a couple more to do, so that's been keeping me a bit busy. Right, we'll go round once more for the reduced numbers. I'll put up a list in a moment, but round to Richard. So thank you all for coming on. GI4DOH, G8GK.
G8GKQ with the group GI4DOH. Getting my sign down. Yeah, David did have a 40 dB 50 watt attenuator, supposedly in line with Jim's 70 watt amplifier. I think at that stage I might have gone back to the amplifier that was driving it, which supposedly has a maximum of 18 watts, and it could have just been one moment's indifference or carelessness. I am aware of the fact that I shouldn't, and there's no need for me to be pushing the meter to its limit. You know, it's perfectly capable of going down 40 or 50 dB below its maximum, or 50 or 60 dB, I think. And I did wonder, Colin, in showing the GPIO board for the Portstown 4, whether those are going to become available on the BATC shop. I did actually look the other day, because I know that having your PTT, the delayed PTT for the line, is preferable to doing what I reckon I've done, and maybe just got to do fine with the manual plug in a shorted phono plug into my PTT socket. So that's the way it goes. I do still have as a backup for the 23 centimeters there. I do have this plug for the bird through line, 1.7 to 1.99 gigahertz, 50 watts, and it's sort of it was good enough for getting to the higher powers on that, although it's remembering that going up 1 or 2 watts is not the same as going up 1 or 2 dB. And of course, there's the cheap and cheerful Chinese thing, which is sort of as good as a relative measurement. I think the only other thing that I have sitting in front of me is it showed a little, I think it was 600 watt 10 meter or CB stroke El Cheapo linear amplifier last week, with looking at the 10 meter thing, and that is the faulty device that was in it. One of the 4 power devices is gone, and one of those has been ordered from China, and hopefully it'll be the right thing. It'll do the job. Whether it'll be linear enough for DATV, I'll see when it comes to it. I'm just wondering, I don't want to hog the thing. Can I just quickly change over to trying to show what I was testing with the 23 centimeter amplifier that I've got? About 35, the shoulders are about 35 dB down when I'm getting about 25 watts out of it or so on the bird, according to the bird through line. I do have these little spurs, which I think are 330 kilohertz up. Now, I was doing a simple rate of 333, so I don't know if there's any relation, but for some reason they're 25 dB down on the main signal, and they're there on either side, but I've only just done that, so I haven't had time to work everything out. So that's what I'm sort of working on. There's nothing, certainly don't get bored. There's always plenty of things to do with the ATV. So enough for me for the night. I wish you all a good evening, and I'll pass it around. I think, are we in the same order again? Yeah, so it's Ryan to Martin, G4FKK with the group. This is GI4DOH.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. GI4DOH. Let's turn my volume down a bit. G4FKK. And yes, that came round rather more quickly than I was expecting. So that was all been very interesting this evening. Mike, I forgot to mention your rather nice ATS-20 receiver there. I think I'll have to investigate that. I'm just interested in this echo. Hang on a sec. Let me just try the dreaded other camera. Right, let's see if there's an echo there now. 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. The dreaded other camera. Right, let's see if there's an echo. Oh yes, so there it is. That's interesting, isn't it? Well, if I turn the headset off and just use the audio from the camera, I wonder what that sounds like. It's funny because it wasn't doing that the other day. When I first put that driver in that you very kindly gave me the link for, Dave, I wasn't getting any audio from this camera on OBS. So that's interesting where that suddenly popped up from. Anyway, I'll go back to that one. So hopefully that's back on the headset now. So yeah, thank you for spotting that. Yes, you never got audio out of yours. I did get audio out of it on something else I was playing with it upon, but not on OBS the other day. So it's all a bit of a mystery, isn't it? Right, let's quickly run through these notes then. 23 SEMS amp sounds good. I don't know what those spurs are, Richard, but there'll be some expert here who'll be able to tell you. 340 kilohertz, don't know. And I mentioned Jim's 500 watt amplifier, didn't I? And David, yeah, well diagnosed on the camera audio there, and I'm glad your mic gain goes up to 11. That's very good. James, if you're still watching, somewhere I've got a manual for a 290, but I just had a look in my manual collection and I couldn't find it. So, but I imagine someone will get that. I've got a very tiny 5-volt fan on my Lime Mini, but it's anything but quiet. Notice the beautifully 3D printed case for the Lime. Thank you, Gareth. But that's a very noisy fan. It's extremely annoying. What was the other thing? Okay, about your solar water heater and the leak. And well, hopefully the cost of repairing that won't offset all the savings you've made with the solar water heater there. I'd be interested to know if your PV inverter makes a noise after all those years. And interesting, Mike, that Microsoft Update changed your OBS settings as well. I can't believe that's part of their official plan. And yes, I've got a number of those LM317 boards. The ones with the bridge rectifier are quite good, Colin. I've used a few of those. Roger, well, as everyone says, that 23 SEMS filter is beautiful. And not only the construction, which is gorgeous, but also the trace you got out of it. That's very good. Martin put a resistor in series with the fan power leads. Well, it's that noisy. I think I'd have to put about 20k or something. Slow it down. The good thing about the fan is it stops the lime doing any fun and games that it has been known to do before. Gareth, yeah, the wine cap, if you're still watching, Gareth, I'm not still there, but we had those with some of your chilies as well tonight. Absolutely marvellous. I'm feeling quite woozy after it already, but that may have been the 2 glasses of Pinot Grigio. Colin, bad business you got work tonight. That won't do at all. And Galley 84, that's another number I'll have to make a note of. I've only just got round to finding out what Galley 5s are. So, and Ryde number 3, that looks very good. Well, looks absolutely superb. Looking forward to your new amplifier next week, Phil, although your signal appears most weeks to be pretty strong. Oh, GVA 84. I'll make a note of that then. 84. Thanks, Mike. And yes, very good evening to Ted in Dunstable or Dunstable. And nice to see you on again, Phil, from keeping Leighton Buzzard warm. That's very good. Looking forward to the the online Cat 21, Dave. So thanks for organising that, and the 3.4 gig amplifier looks rather good as well. Right, I think that's enough from me. Other than to say, Noel, if you're still watching, I haven't got M&Ms tonight, but I've got one of these. Obviously, I can't advertise it, but it's an orange flavour, and it's chocolate. So there you go. Very tasty. Right, well, thank you all for the net, and thanks for organising it, Dave. No. And I will look for some or all of you next week. Good, very good turnout tonight. So it's G4FKK signing out and passing it round to you, David. M0YDH G4FKK. Cheerio.
Good evening, I've got there. Bit of a crisis. I went to transmit and the power meter showed that we'd gone full scale deflection, which is odd because I had 14, 15, 16 dB on the attenuator. I'll just do shaky cam over here. There's the attenuator, which is doing that, and then down in the dark over there is the power meter, just in the shadows, that's it, and it went full scale deflection, followed by a car alarm going on. So I had to have a restart, hence my exclamation. So I think we've overcome that one. And okay, that's what have I been doing lately and things like that. I wanted to make another controller for one of these, so I haven't got PCB skills, so I'm down to Vera board, and a microprocessor for the PIC is coming, so that will go in there soon enough. I'll put a few more parts on my DC electronic load from the Skullcom Hobby Electronics channel. So I need to test power supplies from time to time, make sure they don't go bananas. I have rotten luck, so it'd be nice to find out if they're alright. I have a G4XAT case and a very small fan that runs quietly. I don't know if we can read it from there sideways, but I'll probably tell Martin later if he wants to know what it is. Last but by no means least, the power meter here is rather in the dark, I'm afraid. Yes, let's go and get it. It's shot. Oh, there it is. There it is. It's this fella here, which at the moment is taking a feed from the adjacent signal generator. So that's my homemade one with analog devices board from Makis, and the other one's got a proper DDS also from Makis. Okay, let's pop that back on the plank of wood and see how we get along. I didn't go portable. I went to the members weekend off the Ballet Railway, and we had a charming Saturday where the Railway and Society put on a special train all for the members, and we trundled up and down the line in little old Quarryman's open coaches and wondered how the hell you got 24 blokes in one of these carriages, because there's hardly any room for 3 of us, and they had to pay for it, and it was raining. Anyway, they put Winifred on, which is a lovely little Kunzik engine, and it was utterly lovely. I haven't done that before. I've only gone up and down in the standard carriages. Very nice. Okay, yeah, and as Phil says, yes, the trouble with Mr. Scully is he hasn't done a film since 2018, and all these people asking, can we have another episode? So some things you're a bit stuck, and if you're not, as it's an educational channel, the people watching it are learners like me, and we find it very difficult to progress some of the projects beyond the instructions. So I've yet to come up with a satisfactory power supply for the function generator that I made. Anyway, okay, I'm going to put it round to G0MJW, hopefully, and hopefully this wasn't too loud or too soft in the voice, and I'll see you next week. Thank you very much for having me on the net. It's been absolutely splendid, and I'll just raise my thumb so I can see that come through. Over to you, Mike.
Hopefully that's going to work. Yep. There might even be some audio this time. There is. Good. Yep, David, that was fine. No problems at all with that. Just move slightly over here. I'm just looking, actually, I'm running quite a lot of power, so there's definitely something not quite right with my setup. But I shouldn't have to run 17 watts. Then again, I'm a little bit over the beacon, so maybe that's why. But the idea was that Tim could receive it. However, I'll knock it down a bit, because it shouldn't really be that high. So there we go. That's now 12 watts, according to my power meter, which is a measurement of the voltage from the output of the amplifier, because it has a detector built into it. Right, anyway, what was I going to show? Briefly, this. So, Roger, these are the amplifiers I was talking about. There's 2 of them there. They're pretty similar. You've got to be aware that treat it as a kit of parts when it arrives. You might have to fix it. One of them had, whoever had put it together had not got all the right components, so where they didn't have the right component, they'd replaced it by a 0 ohm short, which doesn't work well for coupling capacitors. It also doesn't work well for bypass capacitors. So it didn't work, of course, but fixed it relatively easily, and it works now. And the The other one had a fault as well. It had the wrong output component, but I managed to get a whole bunch of those again from AliExpress that worked fine. So I'm going to go over to the EasyCam again and show you the EasyCam being actually EasyCap with a camera on it, by the way. It's just booting up. So there we go. Now the problem I have with it is it keeps going black and white. So, and I understand that Phil has done some work on just using the camera bit of the camera and separating it from the conference bit, which you can do, and that would be much better, I think, because it gets very hot, it uses a lot of power, and you can just control it with an Arduino with the right software. So interested in understanding how to do that. Maybe I'll build something for it and make it into a better unit, because the camera itself is quite nice. It's a bit low resolution for modern use, but it's okay. Now this is the ATS-20 Martin, and it was £29 plus shipping, and it uses an Arduino. And there it is, tuned into Radio 4. There's no antenna plugged into it, so it's not going to work. But it's very small, and I thought there's no hope this is going to work. But it was so cheap I bought it anyway, and I was shocked to discover it actually works. Whether it's any use or not, I don't know. But you know, if you want to listen to long wave or medium wave broadcasts, it works. It's adequate. It's not what you would call a DXing thing, but then again, for 29 quid, what do you expect? Right. With that, 7-3 everybody. Hope you all have a good week. And I guess I pass it round to Roger. Lovely filter that you'd made there, Roger. That was really nice. And yeah, there's nothing boring about metalwork apart from, of course, boring, which, as I said on the chat, I have a tool that does boring with my lathe. I can also do boring with the mill, but I don't really have any reason to do it. The last time I used it was to bore a feed for 10 gigahertz out of a piece of aluminium. I put a 20mm bore in it, and that was the antenna, or at least the feed part of the antenna. So yeah, lathes and mills are incredibly useful devices. So be keen to see all these metalwork that people are doing. Right, let's go to put up the test card and over to you. So G3IUZ, G0MJW.
Right, okay, well, thank you very much indeed, everybody. Thank you for the kind remarks about the 23 SEMS filter, and that's very generous of you all. If you want to be bored one night, if there's nothing much else to talk about, I could give you a quick look round my workshop and show you the mill, which I converted from a standard Warco mill to full CNC with 4th axis, and some of the quite interesting things that it's made in its time. So it's a bit underused now, because I've sort of retired from the model railway 7 1/4 narrow gauge world, though I still maintain a strong interest with Tornado and P2 on the main line in the cylinder club there, and also the Linton and Barnstable. But anyway, won't bore you enough with that. But I think there's a little bit of interest in railways amongst the viewers, shall we say. But I've still got a 5-inch GWR 1400 almost finished on the bench. I really must get round to it sometime. Anyway, so that's just a possibility. I might knock something up to bore you with sometime. Right, and thank you very much for all these suggestions on amplifiers, particularly from you, Mike, and the others. I will certainly be exploring those various pointers you've offered this evening. Most grateful for that. I thought if I mentioned it, I wouldn't lack for information, and I'm not disappointed. And Phil, please don't keep apologising for Leighton Buzzard. I know it extremely well. I had 8 very happy years as vicar of Eaton Bray. I was rural dean of Dunstable, and there was a frequent visitor to Leighton Buzzard and its environs. So we're talking about back in the 70s, so it is rather a long time ago. But I know it well, and much affection for that part of the world. So thank you all very much indeed for letting me in again tonight and putting up with it. I hope I haven't got the echo now. Please tell me. I shall have to chase it up. I think I've only got one mic on. Otherwise, it's a mystery, which I shall have to pursue. So it goes to you, I think, Dave. I believe that's right. So GKQ, G3IU said is signing with the
G3IUZ, G8GKQ. I just need to find the right remote control to mute. Right, Roger, yes, the echo has gone. Perfect on the audio there. Interest in railways. I have this theory that most radio amateurs are either interested in railways or aircraft, one of the two. It's an amazing number of amateurs I've come across who fly or are very interested in railways. Skullcom videos, I'd never heard of those, but I've just looked and seen they're a thing, so I've learnt something tonight there. Mike, G0MGAW, just a very, very minor comment. For some reason you're not 16:9 on your pixels, on your image size. I just happened to notice your test card circle wasn't round, and then I noticed the black bars down the edge of your picture, so I'm not sure what you've got set there. It's not something I haven't noticed in the past. The spurs, I haven't seen, Richard, the spurs you mentioned, the Spectrum, I haven't seen those before from a Pluto. I think it's a Pluto or a Lime, but I would suggest, as Mike said, have a look around the regulators. Okay, I think we're done for tonight. Been very good net to see all these people on. Yeah, have a look on Minitune, Mike, see what it reports. Aircraft and guitars. Yeah, amazing. Right. Been good to see so many people on. Been quite a lot of good content. Oh, David, you were that loud, definitely. That attenuator, I wonder how it's controlled. It's clearly not doing the right job. Okay, with that, I will close the net. So, 8 guitars. How many strings is that? G8GKQ, closing the BATC net. And I'll see you all next Thursday. Good night.